Ready? Well, good morning. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Governor Branstad is feeling under the weather. Kay, you might have had a premonition there. So he's going to see the doctor this morning, and then he'll be home today resting. So there's a lot of stuff going around, and he's been exposed to it like many of the rest of us have. We are pleased to be joined this morning by Director Wise of the Iowa Department of Education and D.T. McGee, who is the Norwalk School Superintendent. Governor Branstad and I have set an ambitious goal that is really focused on our Future Ready Iowa initiative. And that goal is that we want 70% of the workforce to have education or training beyond high school by the year 2025. Right now, less than half of the workforce meets that criteria. So reaching that goal requires more precise information in order for us to craft the right policies. So for the first time, we are releasing the Iowa Post-Secondary Readiness Report. This report finds that 71.1% of Iowa high school graduates enrolled in college or career training within 1 year of high school graduation. That is based on the average for the high school classes of 2012, 2013, and 2014. It's good news that Iowa is above the national average, which is 67.1%, but we know that we need to do better, especially for students who are low income, Black, or Hispanic. The report also provides details for each public high school about the following. One, the percentage of graduates who enrolled in either college or career training. Two, the percentage of those students who needed remedial help in both math and English. And three, the percentage of students who enrolled in college or career training and actually finished. This report is sure to help the Future Ready Iowa Alliance, which I have the opportunity and honor of co-chairing with Dan Houston, who is the CEO of Principal, to help develop recommendations for how we will be able to reach the 70% goal that we've set. To reach our goal for Iowa's workforce, it's going to be critical that we encourage many more adults to improve their skills, such as the 22% of Iowans with some college. But Iowa needs all of today's high school graduates to be, generally ready for college or career training so that they can succeed in a knowledge-based, technology-driven economy. And that will open up great opportunities in their personal and their professional lives. And it certainly will go a long ways in helping us close the skills gap that employers talk to us about as we travel the state to all 99 counties. The report also found that 23.2% of high school graduates who went on to college or career training enrolled in at least one remedial math or English course. And as you all know, there's a cost to that. So the better prepared that we have the kids when they leave high school, that will help us go a long ways in keeping the cost of college down. It also underscores the need to better identify students early to make sure that they receive the remedial help needed long before high school graduation. Iowa needs to consider strategies that other states are using, such as Tennessee community colleges going into high schools to help students who are behind prepare for college level math. That has led to nearly 16% fewer students arriving at Tennessee community colleges needing remediation in recent years. Iowa also must examine how to improve completion of post-secondary degrees and other credentials. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us, but I think this really sets the foundation and helps us make better decisions and really prioritize funding moving forward. And I certainly want to thank the Iowa Department of Education, also the Iowa Community Colleges and the Iowa Board of Regents, as well as the Iowa Workforce Development for their work in Iowa's first post-secondary readiness report. And now I'd like to bring to the podium Director Wise to talk about how he hopes high schools will use this valuable information that has been presented in the report. Director Wise?
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Reynolds. I appreciate your leadership in ensuring all Iowa students are prepared to succeed in education and training beyond high school. Iowa's post-secondary readiness reports will be an important resource for schools, parents, and other stakeholders at the local level in this effort. As we all know, data and information are powerful tools for improvement. Accordingly, these reports can be used at the local level to provide valuable baseline data. Districts and schools can look at their existing programming, identify areas for growth, and develop next steps based on the data. For example, if a school has a high number of students taking remedial courses in college, they might want to analyze what their assessment results tell them about the specific areas like measurement or geometry in which their students are struggling. High schools can also use the post-secondary readiness reports to examine their students' course-taking patterns. One of the resources we've added to the website is a link to the Regent Admission Index, or RAI, core course lists. This resource provides a district-by-district list of which courses count as eligible in the RAI calculation. Districts can see how many students are taking these courses and then can develop action steps to better assist students in taking courses that will count toward enrollment in post-secondary institutions. The post-secondary readiness reports also give schools another data point in examining all of the factors that lead to success beyond high school. In Iowa, our definition of college and career readiness emphasizes not only the content knowledge students need for success, but also the skills to navigate through life and make transitions as learners and leaders. Accordingly, high schools can use their information to identify additional supports their students may need. For example, one district we piloted these reports with was concerned that there was a 10% gap between the percentage of students indicating in a post-graduation survey that they intended to enroll in post-secondary education and the percentage of students who actually enrolled in post-secondary education based on the data in their report. Identifying this gap enabled the district to ask important questions about how they can better support students during this critical transition time so that student intentions turn into actual enrollments. In addition, high schools can use these reports as another tool in identifying and addressing achievement gaps. Schools can use this data to identify differences in enrollment and remedial course-taking rates by students who receive special education services, students who come from low-income backgrounds, students who are English language learners, and students who come from diverse ethnic and racial backgrounds. Finally, the post-secondary readiness reports are another important communication tool, which schools, parents, and community members can use to enhance conversations about how to best prepare students for success beyond high school. While these reports do not tell the complete story of any school's successes or challenges, they can serve as a conversation starter to enlist more parents and community members in their improvement efforts. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce my friend and former colleague, DT McGee, who will talk about how the post-secondary readiness reports will be used in the Norwalk Community School District. DT?
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Reynolds, and also thank you, Director Weiss. It's good to be back in this room. In Norwalk, we understand that education and training beyond high school is essential for students to succeed in life beyond high school. And we believe our K-12 systems can lead the way in building Iowa's talent pipeline for future careers and economic development right here in Iowa. The post-secondary readiness reports that each school district is able to access provides important data for us to determine our strengths and areas of growth. This information is invaluable in allowing us to target specific goals to improve outcomes for our students in college and career. This begins with continuing to increase the percentage of students who enroll in post-secondary coursework. Our data indicates that 77.1% of Norwalk students do so within 1 year of graduation. That's a 6% higher rate than the state average. We will continue to build upon our success by increasing opportunities for our students to earn post-secondary enrollment credit while still in high school through partnerships like we have with Des Moines Area Community College and other institutions, as well as increasing our advanced placement, CTE, and STEM offerings for students. Equally important is the idea that when students enroll in post-secondary education and training, they are fully prepared for the rigors and demands of the coursework. This means that Norwalk will continue to target our efforts to ensure that all students meet or exceed college and career-ready targets. Our goal is that no Norwalk student, regardless of circumstance, should need to take remedial coursework in reading or mathematics as they begin their post-secondary studies. We believe this is best done through local development of rigorous curricula aligned to the college and career-ready Iowa core standards, as well as access to evidence-based instruction from a high-quality teacher in every classroom. Both the Iowa core and Iowa's teacher leadership and compensation systems have been critical supports to this work for the Norwalk Community School District. Norwalk is also actively working to ensure that all students access integrated STEM and CTE opportunities so that students can apply their knowledge and skills in meaningful contexts that connect to actual job opportunities available for them right here in Iowa. Providing students with work-based learning opportunities and mentors in areas of career interest connects them to the world of work in ways that motivate and inspire them to pursue learning beyond the doors of our K-12 schools. On behalf of Norwalk, we thank the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and Director Weiss for their support of our work in K-12 to improve post-secondary outcomes for our students in order to meet the goals set out in the Future Iowa Ready initiative.
So we'd go ahead and open it up to questions on this topic. Well, I think when we're talking about investing in our greatest asset, which is our students, it helps us identify best practices. It helps the school district identify areas that they're not meeting their objectives. Director Wise talked about a percentage of students that believe, or maybe DT did, no, you were above the average, percentage of students that anticipated going on to college, but in reality, the statistics didn't reflect that. And so I think it's an opportunity for us to take a look at programs that are working, initiatives that are getting us to helping us meet our objective, and then take a look at how we can align resources to help meet those objectives. The more information we have, the better decisions we can make. I mean, that's the bottom line. We want to empower students to understand the careers that are available in Iowa, and we want to help develop that career pathway so that they can on and off board and really be prepared to fulfill the careers that are available today, not to mention the careers of tomorrow. And so we want to do the same with educators and with post-secondary education. We want to make sure that all of that aligns and that they're making the best decisions within the classrooms, and that we're providing educators with the tools to, really help our students be successful.
So the report was part of a larger effort. The bulk of the funds came out of a $3.7 million statewide longitudinal data survey grant from the federal government. There were other funds involved as well to help pay for the staff at the institutions that worked on this report. Again, it was part of a package of several reports, so there's not a standalone cost for just the feedback reports, but the grant on a whole was, again, $3.7 million.
Take a look at this website. Is there anything that we say, hey, we have to work on this, or we're doing really good at this?
Well, I would say from my perspective, the achievement gaps that exist in the remediation rates are certainly an area for concern, where we need to ensure we provide excellent educational opportunities for all students. And so the difference between the remediation rates are concerning. I do think, though, there is good progress. It does stand out that we're about 4 points above the national average in terms of students who go on to college within a year or two after high school.
And for a local district, we know that going on to a 4-year college or university is not the right solution for all students. So we're really focused on post-secondary training. That might be going to a community college. It might be becoming involved in some type of trade or apprenticeship program, might be going into the military or some other specialized field. And so for us, it's about post-secondary training, and the nice data that comes out of this for us to help inform that decision is the completion rates for 4-year universities. And those definitely aren't where a lot of PK-12 systems would like to see. And I'm not directly involved in those conversations with the institutes of higher ed, but we know that going off to a 4-year university is expensive. and we would like to set students up for success. And so our focus is on what post-secondary training is right for which students. And so that's where our career coaching and counseling comes in at a local district level, and trying to put students on the right path so that they can choose what post-secondary option is right and appropriate for them, and will lead them to success in the workplace in the future.
Is there any area that when you think about this, say, okay, we need to address this?
Yes, it would be that 4-year completion rate. So we know that we can set our students up for success by providing them with a range of opportunities that they can consider, and not just going to a 4-year college or university.
When you talk about the 71% go on to college or training, does that include military?
I don't know.
I believe it does not include military. It includes all of our Regents institutions, the 15 community colleges, and then any college or university that is linked in the National Student Clearinghouse. But it would not include the military.
Do you know what percent that would be that go on to the military?
I do not. No, sorry.
We can see if we can get that for you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Yes, I am going. This is the first time I had the opportunity to attend an inauguration. I'm anxious. I think he's going to talk about bringing America together. He's going to be focused on creating an environment where Americans can be successful, about serving Americans as a whole. So I hope it's focused on that. I hope it's focused on the future. I hope it's focused on opportunities for not only Iowans but for this country. And so that's what we're focused on, and we're looking forward to having, an administration that will work with us, and we can look for ways to collaborate and to maybe let states make more of the decisions or have more flexibility in some of the revenue that's coming from the federal government. And so I look forward to working with this administration and really continuing to provide opportunities for Iowans.
I have a question related to legislation. There was a bill introduced last week that got a lot of discussion, removing tenure for faculty at the state's 3 universities. Brad Zahn said there's bad faculty members out there. The state needs to be able to get rid of them. What do you think about that?
Well, as this whole press conference has talked about, we're talking about looking for ways that we can empower our educators, whether it's pre-K through 12 or higher education, to make sure that they have the tools to be successful and that they're doing everything they can to make sure that our kids are leaving either high school or post-secondary education prepared and ready for a great career, not only a great career, but a career in the state of Iowa. I served in the legislature. It was just 2 years out of my first term, but it's a process, and it doesn't do anybody any good to weigh in on bills that are filed, because a bill never ends up the same as it was when it was filed. So that's part of the process. I think the debate and the dialogue is healthy, and the legislature will get an opportunity maybe to discuss that. Sometimes, even though a bill's been filed, doesn't mean it actually makes it to the floor. So we're going to, we'll just continue to let the legislative process work its way through.
Let me ask about a bill that has not only been filed, but is actually on the docket for at least subcommittee discussion. It's a bill that would allow a woman to sue her doctor for performing an abortion based off of emotional distress or physical injury. I'm curious what you think about that. I've talked to a couple of legal experts who say that it may immediately run into constitutional issues. I know that the governor had, on the discussion of defunding Planned Parenthood last year, not wanted to go into something that could lead us into a legal kind of challenge.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you're going to support this legislation.
Well, I would support what the governor said, because then it doesn't really serve the purpose to head down a path where it just gets tied up in the courts and stop. Nothing ever happens. But again, this is an opportunity. These are two separate branches of government. This is an opportunity for the legislative process to work its course, where different ideas and legislation and policy is put forth. And we have a process where it goes through sometimes a subcommittee where they have an opportunity to really talk about the pros and the cons of this piece of legislation or this policy, that gives both sides an opportunity to weigh in. And then if two of the three, or however big the committee is, decides that it should move forward and continue the discussion, that's the process. And so we're going to wait and let the process take its course.
before you take a stand on it?
Well, it doesn't, because I want to see what we want to see. I want to see, the governor wants to say, he said this always, what the bill looks like in its final form. And that's when we have an opportunity to weigh in, unless it's a bill that we present, and then we will get out there and champion and talk about why it's one of the policy or part of our program that we're presenting. But otherwise, we'll wait and see until it's in its final
Well,
form.
just discussing something that isn't your program. I know that there was a story last week by AP in relation to, and there was criticism from Planned Parenthood saying that the plan should be funded. With their words, were that it gouge other social services programs, taking money away that is badly needed for social services. I guess what's your response?
Well, first of all, this is something that's gone before the legislature for the last two legislative cycles. So the House presented the very similar language 2 years ago. We actually had it in our budget last year for a state-run family planning program. This is money that comes from a block grant from the federal government. We believe that we will continue to be able to provide core services as well as putting money towards a state-run family planning program that would provide quality healthcare services for women all across the state of Iowa. Each year, there's a surplus that's run within this block grant, and so we believe that we can provide the core services as well as making sure that taxpayer dollars don't go towards clinics that provide abortions.
I checked with LSA and DHS, and they confirmed that there will be less money for decategorization or DCAT, which is programming that goes toward at-risk youth.
Mhm.
And that kind of helps them keep them out of the pipeline of child welfare and the judicial system. So there will be less money for that programming. So I'm curious should we stick to that plan knowing that decategorization will be affected? Should we go back to the drawing board? Should we consider other state funding that isn't going to touch this money for needy kids?
Well,
essentially?
but we still believe that we can continue to provide the core services necessary. And we're working on this from a whole host. It starts with making sure that kids have an education so that they can be successful. So that's why, one of our top priorities since taking office is to make sure that kids have the skills that they need to be successful when they leave high school, where they either where they move on into a job or post-secondary education. So we're starting pre-K through 12. We're working with kids and teachers to make sure that students have every opportunity to be successful. We're working with business and industry and community colleges. We're getting our kids in the workforce so they can see what that looks like, so they can hone their soft skills and communicate and problem solve and make those relationships with us. So it's a combination of all those. But we believe that we're going to be able to continue to provide core services for Iowans, for kids at risk, for kids that need them. And we believe also that taxpayer dollars should not go to providers that provide abortions. And so we're going to continue to work with the legislature and make sure that we can provide services for both.
As a quick follow-up, though, part of this effort to ensure that kids are ready for high school and college is potentially ensuring that they don't have a record. And this programming goes toward ensuring that. So are we
A record.
any kind of criminal record or just complications that might affect their lives later on in life? So,
Yep.
and just
Well, helping get them an education that ensures that they're successful prevents even that from happening. So the sooner that we can help them be the best that they can be and provide them phenomenal opportunities to be successful and to stay in Iowa, so that's part of it also. That's part of how we make sure that kids have every opportunity to be successful. Well, as we've done the last 2 years, this is a block grant that comes from federal government that gives states flexibility. That's the whole impetus behind block grant funding. And there has been surplus dollars every year. And so we believe that with those limited dollars, we have an opportunity to continue to provide core services as well as help provide access to clinics all over the state of Iowa, rural Iowa. There's over 221 clinics that will be providing high quality healthcare services for women. And so this is also about access. And we think that this is the appropriate thing to do.
So does the office stands by the decision if decategorization, this programming for at-risk youth, if it's affected, if it has less money, that
We're going to continue to make sure that our kids have every opportunity to be successful. We're going to continue to work with the federal administration. There's so many things that we have an opportunity to really help empower: the cliff effect, the education, connecting them with jobs, making sure that they see the pathway so that they know, if I do a certification, here's the jobs that are available for me and here's the return on investment. It's not just one single thing. It's a collaborative effort, and it's a lot of different things. Well, I'm not going to, we believe it's the right thing to do. That's why we've invested in education. That's why we're doing Future Ready Iowa. That's why I've invested in the STEM initiative, because I know those are the jobs of the future. And I know that when kids have an opportunity to work with these high quality programs, I've seen it. And I've seen it in classrooms all across the state. They begin to see that, oh, I can do this. Oh, I'm good at this. Oh my gosh, I think I can do this. And it's about empowering our young people sooner rather than later. It's about connecting them with opportunities in the state of Iowa. It's about working with educators to make sure that they have the tools to provide these students with a phenomenal education. It's all of it. And it's about providing a safety net along the way. And there's different ways that we can do that I believe and that we believe will provide even better results. So thank you.